quickly got ready for university as it's been many days that you didn't go university. And exams are also near. And also in this you neglected your studies. You had your breakfast as you decided to check on Jungkook. You opened his room door. But anger rushed to your body when you saw Zara helping him to wear his shirt and he noticed you but looked away, which caught you off guard. Your breakfast? He just side-eyed on you before humming coldly. You walked in, glaring at Zara, when he hissed in pain, making you move in action as you pushed her aside and she looked at you pissed. I you concerned, checking his shoulder while he just stared at you. What is this behavior, Ryan? He decided not to talk to her right now. Let me help you. You tried to help him, but he moved back. No need, it's done. He said while buttoning his shirt. As he kept glancing at you, whose face turned pale in second because of his behavior, as you looked down, while Zara chuckled mockingly. You looked at him again, and he looked away. Okay, bye, I'm leaving for university. He didn't reply, his behavior hurted you. You don't know why he's behaving like this, because till yesterday he was okay, and you slowly walked outside. I became director. He asked, became confused and surprised. Yup, the paper's work wasn't processed. You remember that, right? He nodded. Yeah, everything is done. See your nameplate? He looked at it. He looked at Jungkook, who looked so confused and restless, like what the hell is happening, and he sighed. It's okay, don't force yourself. You trust me, right? He nodded. Then don't worry. He looked at him. Talk about engagement. I don't want to get engaged to Zara, he said, and Taehyung looked at him with no answer. You remember? They fixed your engagement. He nodded. It's my nightmare. I would rather die getting married to her. He doesn't know what to say. It's okay. We will do something. Yeah, can I ask you a question? Sure. How long you know Violet? I mean, anything about her? He frowned at his question. What do you want to say? He looked at him. Is she married? Taehyung got no words to answer. I don't know. Ask her. He sighed. I saw a wedding ring in her hair. I mean, I'm not sure, but with the disappointment and Taehyung poked his inner cheek. Don't you think she's too young to get married? At this moment, he just controlled his smile. Why are you so curious about her? He said, controlling his smile, and he sighed heavily, looked at him, and Taehyung is still finding an answer. I like her. Taehyung closed his eyes, somehow controlling his smile. And so, Jungkook looked at him. More than like her, but if she's married for real. But seriously, she's too young to be married. Taehyung nodded as he poked his inner cheek. Maybe he got some idiot like you who got crazy over her, so she married to him. Jungkook looked at him done. I mean, I have seen some crazy people, so he gives him a blank look. Okay, let's suppose she is not married. What will you do? He smiled. Make her mine. Taehyung poked his inner cheek. Then she wouldn't be too young to be yours, He asked, raising his brows, and Jungkook understand he got trapped in his words. Biased man, focus on work. He chuckled. Give me your notes, please, any of you. Made any. You looked both of them. I can provide only for IT, he said, extending your notebook, and Alia looked at you smiling. Don't worry, I have others. I will give you. Okay, first tell me, are you okay now? You smiled slightly. Yes, I am. And him? You looked down as you smiled. He's fine too. Alia sighed as she hugged. I was so worried for you. I missed you a lot. I'm happy that you're okay. You hugged her back. Me too, as you looked at Jongwon, and he squinted. You guys again forget me. You chuckled slightly. No, never. You said spreading your one arm as he hugs, and you all smiled. And in some time we will complete our post-graduation and sometime. Then we will meet each other rarely, especially Ryan. She mumbled and chuckled. No, never. We will often see each other. Yeah, let's see. She tiredly said, finish your syllabus, Ryan. You know, right? We have first semester exam tomorrow. Yeah, important. We need this degree together. You roll your eyes. Yeah. You both reached home at the same time as your eyes met his, and you smiled, but he looked away as he's about to walk inside, but you stopped him. How are you? You asked, walking near him, but he still glances. Much better. He replied with coldness, looking away, and you looked at his bruises closely. It's healing, I see. Smiling, and he just hummed. What do you want to eat for dinner? I mean, I'm making something for me, so I'll cook for you too. He looked at you. Why you need to do that when there are maids? They will do. Focus on your work. It was really rude, and saying this, he walked inside. You looked at him, feeling hurt. Why he's talking like this? You murmured, and you smiled forcefully as they walked inside. You took a bite, and a lone tear escaped from your eyes because your throat is really heavy. You decided to have your dinner alone because of the earlier incident. Every time you are trying too hard to be strong, that everything will be alright, but the fear inside is taking over you. What if he doesn't remember you again? How will you live your life? You tried to take another bite, but finally broke into tears as you covered your face, crying hard. It's hurting me. Everything hurts. I can't take this. I'm feeling weak. You mumbled while crying. I can't take this scoop. I can't do it anymore. Please. It hurts. I need you. You cried helplessly. When someone knocked the door, as you quickly wiped your tears, when you look, it's Jungkook's dad. Yes, Dad. Can I come in? You nodded. Sure, why are you asking? And he walked in looking at you briefly. Are you okay? Why you didn't come for dinner with us? You look at him. I was feeling a bit off, that's why. As he walked near you before caressing your head gently, a fatherly touch, and you looked at him. Don't worry, everything will be alright. I know you're feeling alone here, but don't hesitate for anything. I'm here. You looked at him. And about Jungkook, I fixed appointment with best doctor. He will be treating him. And yes, please get your checkup done on time. Don't neglect your health. You smiled. For our sake, I can neglect my health, but not my baby. You should not yours too. You are important to someone. If something happens to you, what will I answer to Jungkook? You look down. I'm sorry for what we have done with you. We should not. I'm guilty for that. If it's possible, then forgive me. You didn't say anything as you looked down. Rest well and have your food properly, he said, looking at the unfinished food, and you just nodded. Should I send Jungkook? You looked at him. No, it's okay. I will have my dinner. Don't disturb him. Also, it's not good for his health. But I think we should tell him about his marriage. You shook your head immediately. No, Dad. I don't want his health to affect. It's not good for him. Softly, and Mr. Jeon just stared at you. Okay, take care. He walked slowly and peeked her through window as he looked at her. She's standing there with messy bun, and she looks irritated as he noticed her small details. And he slowly gathered the courage as he knocked the door. And she looks up, and a smile appeared on her face, looking at him, but soon disappeared, remembering the earlier incident. May I come in? He asked softly, and she nodded slowly. Actually, she looked at him with a question, and he walked to her before sitting in front of her, and she just observed him. You didn't come for dinner? He asked softly, and she looked and smiled slightly as she looked at him again. Yeah, I wasn't feeling well, you replied with a small smile, bringing your focus back to book as he noticed. Are you upset with me for my behavior? She looked at him, and he understood just looking in her eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. She just smiled and nodded. It's okay. She started to focus on her studies as he just observed her. I'll help you in this, he said, taking pen from her, as she just stared at him with adoration. You're doing it in a wrong way. You just smiled, remembering how he used to teach you. This is so frustrating. Who invented studies? I don't like it. Annoyingly, and Jungkook chuckled, walking in, and you shot clear at him. You just laugh when you see me frustrated, glaring at him, and he sits beside, hugging you as he kissed your cheeks. No, my love, but you look absolute cute in Angry Bird mode. You just gave him a blank look. Jungkook, please don't. I'm not in mood. He chuckled as he rested his chin on your shoulder. You are never in the mood, baby. It's only me who gets in mood just seeing you. You closed your eyes, trying to hide your blush, and he smiled looking at your blush. Still blush so hard. Oh my god. You should be habituated, he said mischievously, and you squint. That is why, sir, because you have done PhD in flirting. I can't help with it. You and your pickup lines. And he nodded smiling as you look at him. I'm your wife now. Then why you flirt with me? Now why you want to impress me, He tilted his head. So what? You are my wife now, and my love is same for you, and even got deeper. And yes, ma'am, I can't help with it, because it comes their own by seeing you. You pout, and he pinched your cheeks. Don't distract me now. I have exams. Let me help you, my lady. Tell where you need help, as he took the notebook and you just watched him. Competition techniques. It's so easy. You scrunch your eyes. Very easy. Sarcastically, and he chuckled, looking at your expression. Okay, see here. Let me tell you an easy way to solve this problem. He solved the sum easily, while you just stared at him in amazement. See, it's easy. I told you the easiest way. And you look at him, smiling widely. Wow, you solved it very easily. He smiles. Do one thing now. You give the exam in my place. He gives you a blank look. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Focus on your studies. I'm gonna fail. He made off face as he pulled you on his lap. No, baby. I know your brain is very sharp, but you are too lazy to use it. You looked at him. And if you fail, I have a very good punishment for you. How? You will punish me? He nodded, and you get down from his lap as you hit him with pillow and he poked his inner cheek. You are so bad. I'm already stressed and you're giving me more stress. And he scrunched his nose. It's because, ma'am, I don't see you having any interest in studies. That's why I didn't want to marry you. Always study, study. And he smiled. But it had happened now. Now nowhere to escape. You just glared at him. What? Don't look at me like that. I'm serious about punishment. You made fake crying face and he sighed, chuckling a little. Oh God, you trapped me. But I do have reward for you as well if you pass. You glared at him. Pack your reward and punishment in a suitcase and respectfully go out of here. Let me study. He squinted as he pulled you closer. What do you mean by that? And he removed his hands and gave him a tight-lipped smile. Means, I have a reward for you, or you can say punishment. It is that we'll be sleeping separately till my exams are going on. Tight-lipped smiling and his brows straightened. Wait, what? You tapped his cheeks. I don't repeat. Smiling as you're about to move, but he pulled you back closer as he looked at you intensely. Do I look stupid to you that we will be sleeping separately for a month? No way, no chance, and why it has to? You struggled in his grip. Because you distract me, I can focus on studies peacefully then. He pulled you more closer, making you shut your eyes. Then I think I need to cancel exams. Your eyes wide open as you look at him unbelievably. No, you can't do that. I will do that only if my wife will stay away from me, he said, pulling you closer while you are all nervous. But I was joking. But I'm serious. Jungkook, nervously, and he hugged you suddenly. Don't joke around about staying away from me when you know I can't. You smiled and sighed. You think I can? You mumbled and he pulled you closer. I know you can. You rolled your eyes. I was joking, Cook. He broke the hug and kissed your forehead. I love you. You smiled as you pecked his cheek. I love you too, my bunny. Okay, now study, or else we'll end up somewhere else. He said with serious face, and you scrunched your nose. You all ready? Go now. He chuckled and nodded. Going. See, this is the easiest way to solve this equation. He said, making you come out of your thoughts as he nodded. Did you get it? He nodded slowly as he took the notebook. And you look at the question which he solved as he tried to solve it by your own, and he just stared at you. And unknowingly a smile spread on his face staring at her, as he noticed her every detail of her, which is making him falling harder for her, as he noticed the ring in her hand and looked at her again. While softly adoring her as she looked at him, just met his intense gaze. She just hummed, as he slowly took her hands just to make her heart beat faster as he caressed the ring in her ring finger, which made her a little nervous as he looked at her. Are you married? He asked, adoring her, and she looked at him, feeling so much emotion. A tear built up in her eyes, and she nodded slowly. Yes, softly, and his smile dropped a little as she observes him. I wish you were not. I would have married you, he said with sincerity. Tears finally made their way from her eyes as she couldn't stop them, and there is a painful smile on her face looking at him. Her husband was looking at her as he is deeply in love with her, even though he doesn't remember her, but still fall for her again. She can't express the emotions which she is feeling right now, and she just wants to hug him tightly and cry in his embrace. His hand slowly reaches to her cheeks as he wipes the tears gently as he speaks. I should cry because you break my heart, he mumbled, and she just adored him as she doesn't know what to say. Why you married so early? He asked, and she can see disappointment on his face as she smiles. I couldn't stop. That man loves me unconditionally, he replied smiling with tears, and he just listened you. He's the best thing ever happened to me. I can't beat him in love because the way he loves, no one can. You mumble and he just listens to you. Then why he left you alone? He asked, and you control your tears so hard. He never did, he replied, and he didn't understand. Your eyes tell that you love him a lot, he said, and you nodded. Infinitely, and I miss him. He looked down, and you can observe the sadness over his face. I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable, he said, lowering his head, and you shook your head. No, heavy thought as he looked at you. I think I should go, it's really late, he said in low voice, as he got up and walked a little bit, then looked back as you were already looking at him. Good night, he said. Good night, he replied with a heavy thought, and he walked out, closing the door. As soon as he walked outside, your tears dropped as you burst into tears, feeling overwhelmed. Not because you are feeling sad, but these are the happy tears which made you feel a burst of emotion inside you. The feeling you can't express, only can feel it, as you put a hand on your belly. Baby, your appa is best. I'm blessed to have him. Your appa loves your Oma or not. He means his each and every word, every promise he made to me. You kissed his ring, which you are wearing as necklace. Please don't do this. I can't take it. Just forget that we ever met. Never. Even my conscious mind can forget you, which will be exception. But my subconscious mind never will. Whenever I will see you, it will make my heart beat like it never beat before. I can't help, but my heart always finds you. You walked down as your eyes met for a brief moment, and he looked away, and you looked at Zara, which made you piss a little, because she always gets on your nerves. Her presence is enough to make you mad, because she is taking advantage of the situation, but Jungkook is handling well, not how he dealt with her, when he didn't lose his memory. Going university? Then go with Jungkook. Jungkook, take her with you. He just nodded, avoiding to make an eye contact with you. Did you have your breakfast properly, Ryan? She asked as you looked at her, a little surprised. Yes, Mom, softly, and she smiled. Okay, then after coming back, I'll take you to hospital. You nodded. Jungkook looks at you, but in fraction of seconds, as you look at him, he looks away and walked, and you followed him. Auntie, Uncle, what you guys are doing? Can't you see that? Annoyingly, and Jungkook's dad looked at her. I'm not with you at all, Zara. Ryan is innocent, girl. How can you accuse her like that? He asked, and she rolled her eyes. Isn't it obvious, Uncle? Because of his money. It's an obvious reason. After his death, his all money will be hers. Do you think money do matter for her? What all matter is Jungkook. They love each other. Yes, Sarah, don't say anything like this when there is no evidence. Obviously, Auntie, all evidence is gone in vain already. The car is destroyed virtually. If she has to do that, she has done with his car. Why only her car? Why she will putting her life in danger too? And why are you so sure about this? You held his wrist, making him stop at his tracks. As he looked at your hand, then you. Are you upset? He removes your hand. No, coldly, avoiding eye contact with her. Then why I feel like you're avoiding me, and why you're not looking in my eyes? You asked with desperation, and he walked closer and looked into your eyes. It's because it's make me falling hard for you. Your eyes, it has something. I can't stop myself when you belong to. He stopped as he breathed. You just stared at him. Let's not waste time. You have exam. Come and sit. He sat in his car while you just stared at him. Tehan's all focus was on him, who was seriously focusing on work, and he looks a little mad, which is clearly visible on his face. Until yesterday he was happy, but don't know what happened to him, so he decided to ask. Jungkook, he called his name. He just hummed without looking up. Are you okay, brother? He didn't say anything. Taehyung sighed as he got up and walked to him and snatched the file from his hand, and Jungkook looked at him annoyed. Hyung! What happened to you? He asked, and he shut his eyes as Taehyung folded his arms across his chest. Will you tell me or not? What happened, huh? Jungkook got up furiously, looking outside, and Taehyung sighed. Reason why? And now tell me why she's the reason, he asked, and Jungkook looked at him surprised. How do you know? Surprised, and he smiled. Only she holds this much power, he murmured, and Jungkook frowned. What? Taehyung shook his head, smiling. Nothing, tell me. Jungkook sighed as he hugged him, and Taehyung smiles looking at him. I'm upset, Hyung. I know that. I asked the reason. He broke the hug as he doesn't know how to say. Hyung, I think I love her, but... He stopped and Taehyung smiled. What do you mean by love her? You just met her, he asked, pretending. That's the problem. Why I just met her now? Why not before? Sudden flashback hits him, and he felt it has happened before, and he looked at Taehyung. Hyung, why do I feel like it happened before? Confused, and Taehyung brows straightened. Jungkook looked so confused and stressed, and Taehyung noticed it as he held his head, feeling pain in his head, and Taehyung tried to handle the situation. Maybe you felt deja vu. Jungkook looks at him confused. Is it? He nodded and he groaned. I don't know what is happening, he said, feeling annoyed. It's okay, don't stress yourself, he said, trying to calm him down. Let's not talk about this, he said, know the seriousness of the situation. When Taehyung's phone rings as he looked at the caller ID and looked at Jungkook, who's trying hard to remember something. Jungkook, listen, you have work right now, also meeting with other clients for the other branches. He nodded. Good, then focus on it. We have meeting with the Board of Education. I'll be back. I have an important call to attend. He nodded and Taehyung walked outside. Jungkook sighed as he drank some water to stop the anxiousness which he is feeling right now, as he took a deep breath and took his seat.
You were normally walking, looking in your notes as you stepped down the stairs, but someone blocked your way, and you looked up, and your brows twitched as you tried to avoid her and walk, but she blocked your way, making you roll your eyes as you closed your books and glared at her. What do you want? Mine asked, raising brows. That's what I want to ask you. Why you being shameless, girl? First you married him, God knows how. And when he forgets you, still you didn't leave him. Do you think he will ever remember you? She bitterly said, and Van scoffed. Isn't this question you should ask yourself, ma'am? She glared at you. It doesn't mean if I'm not saying anything, I'm not noticing anything, what you are trying to do. She said with a rage, and Zara just glared at her. You can fool Jungkook and his family by playing innocent, but not me. I know why you married to Jungkook. I know your third class family pure intention. Tell me how much money you need to leave him. I'll give you. Your blood boiled as you made feast. I can give you as much money as you want. You and your family can eat while doing nothing. That's what you want, right? Middle class. Before she could complete, she felt her cheeks burning as her anger built, and she dead glared at you. How dare you? She yelled, and she raises her hand, but you held it tightly while students gathered to see the scene. I dare you, don't repeat this mistake again, I swear. There will be no one worse than me, Zara. You said in loud voice, glaring at her. And I dare you to go near Jungkook. It's a warning, I swear. She just listened while breathing as she looked the student who gathered. I am his wife, she said, pressing her words, almost warning her. Don't you try to be. Don't take advantage of situation. If I'm not saying anything to you, there must be a reason. And the reason is my husband. I don't want his health to affect in any case. No one will worsen than me. She warned, and she clenched her face. He's my husband. He would be mine if you didn't come between us. She cut off you, almost yelling at you. Didn't come between. It's you who came between us, you betted. But he was never yours. Even if he was bounded to you, he was never. Stop living in past and showing right on something which was never yours. Jungkook never loved you. You coldly said, and you walked a little nearer. We are happily married, so if you have some self-respect, don't come to our house again. You know what might happen with you if Jungkook was in his senses, you lastly said. But I loved him. I love him so much it doesn't matter to me. She said, and you scoffed, looking away. You are sick and an obsessed girl. Go and see the doctor. Ryan said, shaking her head. Ryan took a breath. It's waste of time with you. Ryan lastly said as she looked at the students who were looking at them. And Ryan, as she walked one stair down but stopped as Zara muttered something. If loving someone unconditionally is an obsession, then I'm obsessed, she muttered. You rolled your eyes, and I never let you live in peace with him when you snatched my peace, she uttered, and Ryan frowned as she is about to turn, but she felt a hard push on her back, and Ryan's eyes widened as she tried to hold the railing, but her foot twisted, making her wince in pain loudly. And she closed her eyes as she almost fell down, but she felt hands around her stomach on last stairs. He got disbalanced while saving her, as he fell on the floor, and Wine landed on top of him, and her eyes are closed and sweat covering her face. She's shaking badly. His back hurted, but he didn't feel any pain when he saw Wine. He felt his heart stop for a while when he rushed to save her as soon as he got information that there is some argument going on between Ryan and Zara. He was almost reached when he saw Zara pushing Ryan. It happened so fast that he didn't got time to react. but he rushed to stairs to Ryan. Ryan's body shaking very badly and tears streamed down her face. She winced in pain, and Jungkook quickly shook her to open her eyes, and Ryan cried in pain as he somehow made her sit on floor. And Taehyung also rushed as his eyes widened when he saw Ryan crying, holding her stomach. And Taehyung also helped Jungkook to make Ryan sit as Jungkook kissed Ryan's cheek gently. Ryan. He tried to make her open her eyes, but she cried only, making him worried as hell. She somehow said, and Taehyung's eyes widened. Taehyung noticed blood on Ryan's hand as well as Jungkook. As Taehyung panicked, Jungkook, we need to take her hospital. Taehyung said, panicking as without wasting time, Taehyung picked Ryan in his arms and rushed to his car. Jungkook got up as he felt his body getting numb to react to the situation, as he saw blood in his hands and his body started shaking as he took out his phone and about to follow, but he heard Jungkook. Zara held his wrist. Before she could say further, she felt a hard slap on her face, making her fall on the stairs as Jungkook looked at her angrily with burning eyes as Zara looked at him terrified because he doesn't look none less than monster as Zara got up but Jungkook choked her throat making her eyes widen. Everyone gasped. While Zara's eyes almost popped and turned red as tears slid down. But then Alia rushed back in and Jungkook's eyes widened looking at him. But it looks like that he will kill her today. No one dared to stop him. Sir, leave her, she said, panicking, but it looks like that he is blinded by anger. Jungkook tried to detach him. Sir, leave her. He tried his force, but Jungkook jerked him. Sir, please leave her, Jungkook yelled. Sir, Ryan's condition is critical, Alia yelled, making him stop. As his track, as his grip slowly loosened and Zara fell down while coughing badly. And realization hits him. She needs you right now, Jungkook said, and without wasting time, he rushed from there. As soon as Ryan's face flashed in front of his eyes, Jungkook rushed to hospital, being complete mess as he saw Taehyung and quickly rushed to him. Young, being worried, he looked at Taehyung, and Taehyung closed his eyes before looking at her. What happened to Ryan? Where is she? Is she okay? He said, panicking. Well, Taehyung girl doesn't know how to tell him. Did she got hurt somewhere? Where is this blood from? He said, being terrified. While Taehyung looked that he's on verge of crying, but his silence making Jungkook more impatient and mad. And when Taehyung calmed him, doctors took her in OT. Hope for the best. He only said this and Jungkook closed his eyes. I tried to save her, Hyung. What happened to her? Cut it off as Mrs. John Rush being all worried. Where's Ryan? He asked being worried as Taehyung's gaze shifts to the. She is in operation theater. Mrs. John covered her mouth. Is she alright? Taehyung lowered his gaze, making things obvious. How'd this happen? He coldly asked. Zara. Coldly said, and his arms turned dark and looked at his father. She posed her in front of my eyes. I'm the eyewitness. Mr. John rose straightened while Taehyung blood boiled. We should call the cops, he said, taking out his phone, and Jungkook stopped him. I already did that, Hyung. Mr. John's side widened. You did what? He asked, being shocked. You must have thankful that I just put her behind the bars, not killed her, he said in dark voice, and Mr. John closed his eyes. It's useless, he muttered. Mrs. John noticed the blood on Jungkook's shirt and pants. As she walked to him, son, she hesitantly asked, pointing at his shirt. Well, Jungkook looked at his shirt and his hand as it started shaking, and tears slid down from his eyes. She was bleeding, Mom. I don't know what happened. His voice came like a whisper, and Mrs. Young closed her eyes. Tears slid down from her eyes. I did try to save her. I don't know. His voice broke as Taehyung brushed his shoulder, making him look at him. She will be alright, right? He asked with heavy thought, and Taehyung nodded with a heavy heart. We should inform her family, he blurted out while Mr. John looked at him helpless. They will be worried for her, right? He said, being impatient, and Taehyung just watched him. Hyung, I'm scared. I did try to save her. Wine, daughter. Wine's friends quickly rushed as Jungkook looked at them. Where is my daughter? He asked, panicking. She is in OT, uncle. Doctors are treating her, and he held his head. So, he tried to approach him, but Mr. Kim jerked his hand as he looked at them angry. I want you right, even if a scratch comes to Wine, I won't leave you all, he yelled, while Mr. Kim tried to calm him. As everyone in the hospital looked at them, and Mrs. Kim tried to calm him down, but he grabbed Mrs. Young's collar, making everyone's eyes widen as Jungkook was about to walk, but Deng stopped him. I gave you the responsibility of my daughter. You ensured her safety, then how? He yelled, and Mr. John just watched. Listen, Mr. Kim, what should I listen? My daughter is in hospital just because of you people. He yelled. Yeah, well, please leave him. She tried to detach him. I gave responsibility of my daughter to these inhuman people. He cried as he finally jerked his collar. I, I gave my daughter. His voice broke as Taehyung approached him. Uncle, calm down. She will be all right. And he jerked him away also. Leave me. I wish I didn't listen to her. She might be not here. He cried, and Mrs. Kim rubbed his back as she cried as well. What this man? He said, pointing at Jungkook, who doesn't even remember her so-called husband who failed to protect his own wife. He shouted. While Jungkook's brows straightened, as he was too shocked to react anything, because this new information caught him off guard, and he slowly walked to him unconsciously, and they watched him being concerned. What did you say? He said, being unconscious. Son, it's nothing. He stopped him, showing palm to him. And her what? He asked, being shocked as Mr. Kim looked at him angrily. Don't do this drama in front of me. I'm never letting my daughter go back to you. She doesn't deserve a husband like you. I was a fool who agreed to give my daughter to you just to make her suffer at such young age. He bitterly said. Jungkook's brows straightened. I'm her husband, he muttered while they hung, and his parents tried to approach him, but he stopped them. Jungkook ran his fingers through his hair as he looked breathless when doctor came out, diverting his attention. Who is patient's husband? And Mr. Kim rushed to the doctor. How's my daughter? Is she okay? I'm her father, he said, being desperate. Her condition is a bit critical, and she looked at the family. We saved the baby, but she almost had miscarriage. Doctor said, and everyone gasped in shock. While Jungkook felt his body getting numb, baby, he muttered as Taehyung looked at him. Can we meet her? Mr. Kim asked, being desperate, and Doctor shook her head. Not now. We'll be shifting her. Then you can meet her. The doctor said, and Mr. Kim closed his eyes. We have to do some formalities. Who is patient's husband? Doctor asked. She's my daughter. I'll do the formalities. Mr. Kim replied, and doctor looked at him. I'm sorry, as per her reports, the formality should done by her husband. Is John Jungkook. Who is John Jungkook? She asked, shifting gaze, and Jungkook felt goosebumps. He's too shocked to process everything, as unconsciously said, It's me. As his parents and Taehyung looked at him concerned. Doctor said, Okay, come with me. She said, and Jungkook followed her, and Taehyung immediately followed. Here, she said, extending some papers. Jungkook slowly took the papers. He opened the file, and his heart skipped a beat as he saw his name written under spouse column, and tears dropped from his eyes, and a sob left from his mouth. Are you okay? She asked, looking back, and he slowly nodded. And he felt on hand on his shoulder as he looked at Sehang, and his eyes were red and tears are in his eyes, while Sehang looked at him in curse. Please sign here, and here is the prescription for medicine. Please bring these, he said, extending him pen. Jungkook took the pen from his trembling hands before signing it and extended to the doctor, while all the time he was too stunned to speak anything and his mind still couldn't process anything. Please bring these medicine ASAP, she said as she walked. Jungkook looked at Taehyung with so many questions, and there is no answer from Taehyung. Young, is it true what he said? It's me, he said with shaky voice, and Taehyung looked at him speechless. Young, please tell me, he asked with desperation, and Taehyung just nodded in answer, lowering his head. Jungkook got a step back in shock while Taehyung held him. It's not the time to discuss or think about it, Taehyung said. Mine needs you, he calmly said, while his tears continued to drop. Her gaze slowly shifts as she senses his presence, and a slight weak smile appears on her face, while Jungkook felt so much emotion as he slowly walks in, gathering himself. Thank you, Jungkook, she said weakly, and Mr. Kim noticed him. Jungkook walks near as he checked her briefly and kissed her head, and Wine felt happy. How are you? He asked, and she smiled slightly. Absolutely fine. A tear slid down his eyes, making Wine smile to faint slowly. Jungkook's gaze shifts to her stomach as he gathered courage and gently kissed her belly, and Wine's heartbeat raised. And baby? Her heart dropped as she smiled. Baby is fine too, she replied nervously as Jungkook looked directly in her eyes. Mom, Dad, so can you please leave us alone? He asked, staring deep in her soul, and her heart started beating well. Sure, son. Only giving few minutes to talk her, but she will go with me. He looked at your father being shocked, and Jungkook seemed to unhappy. As they all walked outside, leaving you two alone while your heart beat wildly, as Jungkook sat on the chair holding your one hand and resting his chin on your hand, as tear dropped from his eyes. Jungkook, you're pregnant? He asked, and you looked at him speechless as your heart did the thing. Yes, she replied, hesitated, and he closed his eyes. You didn't tell me, he asked again, and this time you have no answer. His eyes searched for an answer, but in return he got only silence and stealing glances, and he kissed her head. You love your husband so much, right? He whispered, and she looked at him with confused. That's what he's trying to ask. Yes, but she still replied, stopped more. You lied that you love him a lot. He blurted out, and he shook your head being confused. No, it's why you didn't come to check on him? Why you didn't tell him about your pregnancy? He asked with heavy thought, but you have no answer. It's nothing like that, she replied. I'll find your husband and beat the shit out of him. Who left a diamond like this? He said with anger and pain, and your tears finally made it. Who left you alone when you needed him the most? He said with heavy thought, and mind tried to control her tears. Who failed to protect you? You closed your eyes and still look at him. He never left me alone. Situation is like this, which made distance between us, she said with heavy thought, while Jungkook looked at you with so much emotions as he suddenly got up, gasping with tears, and walked out of the door without looking back, and you looked at him with concern, but he couldn't get up because of the pain and weakness. They had knocked the window as Jungkook came out of his thought and looked at him, and he unlocked the door, and Taehyung sits in the car as he noticed him. Where you got disappeared suddenly? Taehyung asked with concern but got silence in answer. Are you okay? He asked as he noticed his eyes are red and hand is still trembling on steering wheel. And Jungkook finally looked at him. No, I'm not. He replied coldly and Taehyung sighed. Listen, I want all answers, he said, cutting him off, and Taehyung just watched him. His father took her. He couldn't stop. Jungkook tightened the grip on wheel. It's good for her for now. I can't show up to her. I can't, he said with shaky breath. Jungkook, don't take stress. It's not good for your health, he said, trying to calm him. I can't feel. I can't. My head feel like it will burst out anytime. I'm not feeling good. You don't know what's happening to me. Taehyung put hand on his shoulder. If you didn't stop pressurizing yourself, you will end up in hospital. Taehyung said, noticing him turn all red and his body is trembling. Taehyung took out the medicine as he extended him water bottle. Here, take this, he said, extending him tablet and water bottle. It's good you left from there, otherwise wine gets worried for you. Look at yourself. As Jungkook gulped the medicine and looked back at him. Take me there, he blurted out at Taehyung front. Where? He asked and he looked back at road. I don't remember the direction and address. To our house where we built so many memories of us, he coolly said, and Taehyung gasped. She remember? I don't, Jung, I don't, he said, being frustrated. At this house, I have no photo of me and wine, no wedding album, nothing is here. It's sure right, we don't live here. My heart beat so fast when I saw her. I felt an unknown connection with her always. I fell in love with her at first sight, and in no time she became my everything. We must be beautiful, Jung. How can we not have any memory? How can I forget love of my life? He said, and Taehyung just stared at him. How can I forget my wife? How can I have no memory of her? When my heart always beated for her. How? He said with desperation. Relax, everything will be alright. Calm down. Taehyung switched on the lights as Jungkook slowly walks in, and his steps halted as his gaze got stuck to huge frame, and his heart beat faster than ever. The photo of her and him, of their special day, and many more. Jungkook slowly walked in his bedroom, noticing the frames on the wall, and his heart swelled as he gently touched everything. Here, he said, extending him an album. He took it from his trembling hands as he opened it, and blurry flashbacks started to come. His head hurted, but he chose to ignore the pain. I can't believe it's happening.
The words echoed in his ears as he looked in the room, and blurry flashback came, making his head to feel sting pain as he held his head while Taehyung looked at him in concern. I'm okay. He moved forward. His eyes landed on something which on side table, which made his heart stop for a while as he slowly extended his hand to pick it up, and tears automatically made their way from his eyes. It is written on a card, and he covered his mouth. Jungkook dropped on his knees as he cried silently, and Taehyung went to his level and kissed his back. Going to be Father Young. His voice came like whisper, and Taehyung smiled slightly. He is happy, and his reaction is worth watching, as Taehyung thought Wine should be here to see this. Jungkook covers his face while crying. She must be hurt, he mumbled while crying. She bear all pain alone, he murmured while crying badly. She was all alone. How hurt she must be. He cried his heart out when Taehyung hugged him, kissing his back. Shh, stop crying. You didn't hurt her intentionally. You never can. She knows it, he said, kissing his back while he cried, hugging him. Taehyung smiled a little. Jungkook, brace yourself. Nothing can break her more than your this condition. You have to gather yourself. She needs you. He mumbled and Jungkook broke the hug.